Imagine a world where women are trained to be ruthless executioners, responsible for the deaths of thousands of innocent people. This was the reality for the female guards of the Stutthof concentration camp in World War II. The Stutthof concentration camp was located in what is now Poland, and it operated from 1939 to 1945. During that time, over 60,000 people were murdered at the camp, including Jews, Poles, Soviet prisoners of war, and other minority groups. The female guards at Stutthof were known for their brutality. They were trained to be ruthless and efficient killers, and they were responsible for many of the atrocities that took place at the camp. One of the most notorious female guards at Stutthof was Jenny Wanda Bachmann. Bachmann was a young German woman who was recruited to join the SS in 1944. She was quickly assigned to Stutthof, where she quickly became known for her cruelty. Bachmann was responsible for the deaths of countless prisoners at Stutthof. She was known for whipping prisoners to death, beating them with clubs, and shooting them in cold blood. She was also known for selecting prisoners for the gas chambers. Another notorious female guard at Stutthof was Gerda Steinhoff. Steinhoff was a former nurse who was recruited to join the SS in 1942. She was assigned to Stutthof, where she quickly became known for her brutality. Steinhoff was responsible for the deaths of many prisoners at Stutthof, including children. She was known for injecting prisoners with lethal injections, beating them to death, and drowning them in water barrels. In 1946, after the war ended, Bachmann, Steinhoff, and 10 other female guards from Stutthof were put on trial for their crimes. They were all found guilty and sentenced to death by hanging. On July 4, 1946, the 11 female guards were publicly executed by hanging in Gdansk, Poland. The execution was witnessed by a large crowd of people, many of whom were former prisoners at Stutthof. The public execution of the female guards from Stutthof was a symbolic act of justice. It was a way to hold them accountable for their crimes and to send a message that the world would not tolerate such atrocities in the future. The brutal executions of the female guards from Stutthof concentration camp were a reminder of the horrors of World War II and the importance of fighting against intolerance and hatred. It is a story that should never be forgotten. The story of the female guards of Stutthof is a complex and disturbing one. It is a reminder of the dark side of human nature and the capacity for evil that exists within us all. It is important to remember this story so that we can learn from the past and prevent such atrocities from happening again. We must never forget the victims of Stutthof and the other concentration camps, and we must always fight against intolerance and hatred. The executions of the female guards from Stutthof were carried out in a public square in Gdansk, Poland. The crowd that gathered to watch the executions was large and diverse, and it included former prisoners from Stutthof, Polish citizens, and Allied soldiers. The executions were carried out one by one. Each guard was led to the gallows and hanged. As each guard was executed, the crowd cheered and shouted. The executions were a brutal and public display of justice. They were a way to hold the female guards accountable for their crimes and to send a message that the world would not tolerate such atrocities in the future. The executions of the female guards from Stutthof were a powerful and symbolic moment. They were a reminder of the horrors of World War II and the importance of fighting against intolerance and hatred. It is important to remember this story so that we can learn from the past and prevent such atrocities from happening again. We must never forget the victims.